All right, we're going to be creating a Jamstack blog. Now, what's Jamstack? And like, it's kind of a buzzy term word right now, like around the web development arena. And really, it's just a return to the roots, but only kind of for web development. Back in the very old days, we had server-side rendering, where every time a request would come in, we'd have our server, compiles our code into HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and then sends that compiled code up to the client. But then we then moved to front end because it was too much work for our servers to compile a unique HTML front end for every single client as they came in. It was getting too expensive. So then we switched sides and we said, okay, React, Ember, Angular, Vue, we're going to make you all, you, the client, are going to take our source code and you're going to compile it yourself and run it on the front end for us. That way, all we have to do is send you a bunch of static files and you'll figure it out. Except there is a major problem with this. Unfortunately, unfortunately, it's a terrible experience. Now, what I mean by that is if you're a client and you want something on page 5, doesn't matter. You may have gotten the URL for page 5, but you're getting index.html. You're getting that root page, and everything is going to load up, and then it's going to say, hey, I'm supposed to be page 5. Okay, let me now go and request page 5 data, and then we're going to render that in the front end, and then go. If you have a fast internet connection and a fast computer, no problem. You're probably not going to notice a difference. If you're on a potato or a phone or a watch or a book, like a Kindle book or something like that, you're going to notice a huge difference there. It's going to suck. And then on top of that, web crawlers like Google, which kind of sort of almost has support for these, and then any of the other ones don't really do a good job at figuring out what your content is. So they just say, oh, it's index.html. That's what everything is. So if you want to create something like a static blog, then the backend rendering is where to go. But backend rendering is expensive and requires bigger servers. So how do we bridge this gap and have the best of both worlds? Well, that's what the Jamstack really is. That's going to be write it once and compile it into static HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. And then it's just going to be sitting there as a bunch of files that then, hey, you just request that one page. Well, that page has already been pre-rendered. It's been, compiled once and then sets that up. So of course, I do a lot of Rust on this channel. I want to use a Rust. I want to see what options we have for Rust. So there's this entire Are We Yet, which isn't 100% Rust stuff, but it's a lot of Rust things in here. So we can come down here to an Are We Web Yet? And this website tells us, yes, there's a lot of really awesome web resources in Rust. And if we continue on down, what we're specifically looking for here is there's not going to be anything that just says Jamstack on this, but CMS is the closest thing. So click into that. And here we go, static site generators. This is what we're really interested in. Now I've looked at all of these and I really liked Zola a lot. But there was just some little tiny bugs in there that made the experience not quite ready. However, it's something I'm going to keep my eyes on, and when it's ready, I'm probably going to switch over to that. That being said, the only other one that really works out well for me is MDBook. So this is the same technology that drives the Markdown books that are the Rust book, or many of the other sort of books that you see a lot of Rust developers use in the web. We're going to use that to create a blog. So let's go into the documentation in here. And there's obviously a book to teach you about how to use the book. And just sort of getting it set up and going is pretty easy. All we have to do here is we have to do this cargo install MD book. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to come down here and just run cargo install MD book. And let this run behind the scene. We can then run this mdbook help just to make sure it installs correctly. I actually previously had it installed, so but I think I did upgrade my Rust version, so that's why it's going to reinstall and like bring in everything again. This technology does work for both Windows and Linux and Mac OS, so it doesn't really matter what you're on, it's going to be just fine. I know, so many dependencies for this. Okay, so we have our Markdown book installed. We can finally get ourselves set up. So we're going to use this Markdown book help command just to verify that everything is working just fine. And there we go. So we can actually see what it is that we need to do. Now, if we do the init, it is going to create a boilerplate structure, and we're going to give it like a folder or file. I actually have this entire directory that I want to put things in. So I'm going to do mdbook init dot. Sure, let's create a git ignore. What's the title that I want to give this book? Let's give it like example blog. Okay, so I created a new blog here. I have VS Code open to that directory. Now I am doing all this stuff on a Windows machine, but I'm using Windows subsystem for Linux. So all the Markdown book stuff is happening on the Linux side, but I could easily do this in the Windows PowerShell if that's what you prefer. Okay, so we start off with like having some interesting like just data here that we can play around with. We have like a chapter 1, we have the summary, and like a book.toml where we can see, well, here's where the title is. Let's go ahead and get this running. So we're going to come back to our terminal and we're going to try this serve. So serves the book at localhost with port 3000 and then rebuilds it on changes. So we're going to do md book serve. It's now listening on localhost port 3000. Let's go ahead and open that up. And there it is. So here's our book. We just see chapter 1 here. So if I want to actually turn this into a blog, well, what's the first thing that we generally want to have? We want to have some kind of landing page, something that like somebody can see and like then maybe directs you to the rest of the blog, or maybe we can have like an about and then we have links to those and then the actual like blog itself. So we're going to come back to our code here. All of the sort of like updates and running here is going to happen in summary inside of src. So what I can do is this summary is not actually going to show up as we can see in here. In fact, what I can do is you're going to come over here. You're going to come over here. We're going to create something to show up right here. So maybe we'll just like about like introduction or welcome. Welcome, and yeah, we can have just like a welcome.md. I hit save. We just have suddenly welcome showing up here, but you'll notice it's here on the left. And you also notice that it just sort of appeared here. And that's because whatever this first link is that gets created is the landing page. It's what we come to right away as soon as we load up the blog. So we see here, welcome. We don't have a dash by it, so it's not a numbered thing. So it actually just shows up like that. And if I want to have a divider between these, I can just add 3 dashes, and there's a little divider for us. It can be really nice if you want to end up creating sort of like a hybrid book blog where you're not necessarily doing things by time, but maybe you're organizing things by date. Or wait, time and date? No, you're organizing things not by time or date, but by topic. And maybe like time and date inside of that or something like that. So that's like the basic setups here. We can write just completely normal markdown in each of these files, and it's just going to show up over here. Also, notice that we get all the niceties that we're used to when running with like Node.js type of web projects. We can just live type inside of here. Hello, hit save. Probably should actually come into it, say hi there. As soon as I hit save, it then shows up over here to the right. So I've got live refresh going, and basically everything's sort of set up for us. Also, there is a default theme set up for us as well, and we get any of these themes all ready for us for free. Now, if you want to override that theme, it's actually really simple. You can create a themes folder and then overwrite any of the major themes, but Rustbook has one of my favorite features. If we cancel serving the Rustbook itself, there is, where is it? It may not be as part of this official documentation. I think, but we can see it from the Markdown book blog here in the theme. It gives you the files that you can override, but you can do this mdbook init -- theme command. Now, in this case, I don't want to override something, so I'm going to run this. No, don't create another get ignore. I don't need to give another title. But now we're going to see. So first of all, it didn't delete any of my stuff, and my title is gone. I have to recreate that in here. That's not really a problem. But now I have this theme directory, and the theme for the book, like that default theme that exists here. So this theme is now all right here. It's broken out. So it's sort of like if you're used to React, the ability to sort of like eject the React sort of like scripts that are behind the scenes. This is sort of like that. It ejected that from like the internal theme, and it just gave that to you here so that if you really want to, you could say, I kind of want to just add in my own data here. It's like, what if I just put in something like, I don't know, h1 yo. And if we save that, we have to then restart the book. And we can see that we've just added this yo in for every single page. Now, this is obviously a terrible example. And I'm not super great with choosing, like, with actually making themes. So I'm perfectly happy with just using the default theme. But if you're the type of person who wants to, like, customize the style and customize every little bit about how something displays, or just understand what's happening behind the scenes, this is going to give you that ability, because you can now see, oh, look, this is where it's grabbing stuff from local storage. It's grabbing stuff from, you know, wherever like the book is storing behind the scenes. So it's really helpful. On top of it, you can go online and possibly find people who have shared themes, download them, and just throw them into this theme directory, and you're fine. Okay, so the final things here, if you do want your sidebars to be organized by some things, let's say you want to do a standard blog and you want to organize things by date. Well, that means like it could be a little bit weird to have like just a bunch of dates down, you know, going down in reverse order on the left here. Well, what I can do is in summary, we can have folders for like year, month, day. And I've seen a lot of blogs that do something like that. So what we can do is we'll just have, let's see, I want maybe chapter, let's do like year, so 2021. Yeah, the 2021 is this year. So that will be, I don't even think I need necessarily to have this be in a folder. Then you are in, although, actually I do think I need that. And the book itself has instructions for how to do this. Let's go take a look really quickly to see how easy it is to find out. So we're gonna come over here. We have our format. See, I want indentations for everything. It's the summary. So the prefix first chapter, a part of a title. Okay, so headers can be used as a title for the following numbered chapters. So we can have it, so it looks like we can do that here. So we can have like something like 2021. Let's make sure of how this is looking. Okay, so there it is. We see like 2021 there like that. And then if I want like multiple indented here, that actually works just fine. See if we create multiple of these. .1, let's say. Come back to you. And we see, okay, we can have like chapter, well, that's still another chapter in here. Let's try bringing you in by a couple indentations. And there it goes. Now we see that this is chapter 1.1. And that's because it's been pulled in here. Now, this is labeled chapter 1, chapter 1.1, and that's just because I put this in here right here. If I put this as like, I don't know, January, and then this would be the date. So what is today? Today is like 8:30. Actually, today it's August right now. Let's just go August. This is the 30th. So 8:01:08:30. Now, the way that summary is working behind the scenes, because I'm creating these here and it auto creates the files for me as I create them. So no need for me to create the file and then come back here to like then reference the file. I can just do everything in summary and then head over to that file to actually create it. So now we notice here, these are both chapter 1. That's technically very legal. I don't need to do that. But let's go ahead and update you. You're gonna be this date here. Let's hit save. And this file is now here for me to update. So something went great today. We head back over to our code. We'll now see that we have this 2021 for the date. We then have our August and then the actual date one. And of course, you can give it like actual themes if you really want to as well. So there's like themes for like the actual labels because they're going to have the same order that we have inside of this summary. So basically, it's like a book, but also like what is a blog if not just a book of, you know, whatever topics. It could be the general blog topics, which have kind of gone to the way the dodo recently, I've noticed, or it can be a highly focused themed blog, which to me is not really that different than a book. So the documentation for this, which is going to be in the description for all these videos, is here, and it goes into great depth of like how to do everything with Markdown book, how to customize the themes, how to like even have mathematical equations display if you really want to, or anything else that you need. However, this is like the basics of what I need to go, because for any blogs that I'm going to create, this is kind of it. On top of that, this has great code support because it is a book used for building the Rust book. Therefore, if you want to have a blog with code in it, this is going to help out extremely well. All right. With that, in the next section, we're going to be talking about where we're going to store this and you know how that's going to work. I'll see you in that video. Bye.